My name is Pedro Ayala. I am 29 years old. I'm a sous chef slash CDP, applying for the senior CDP of Piano Cruises. In today's videos, we're gonna cook a chicken chasseur. A chicken chasseur actually is a traditional French dish composed by actually some chicken, that is sauteed and then braised in a nice brown sauce with mushrooms, dry white wine, and some fresh herbs. A little bit of history: this dish actually was created by the chasseur, meaning the huntsman, that back in the day when they were actually hunting for some poultry, they were actually hunting the poultry, and in the way back home they were collecting the mushrooms. So when they get into their home, because of the hunt, the poultry meat was so tough in the day, so they actually braise the meat so it will get tender, and it creates this nice and amazing flavorful dish that we're gonna make today. So the first thing I'm gonna make, actually, the first thing I'm going to start with is to make a nice brown chicken stock. So it will give our sauce a nice flavor of it. So for my chicken stock, for my brown chicken stock, what I'm gonna use actually, I have here. The first thing I did actually, I debone my chicken first. I cut all my chicken bones. I chop them so it will actually be more fast, and the bone will actually, the flavor will be extracted rapidly or more faster. I have some mirepoix here also. That the mirepoix is the base of the stock, that is onion, carrots, and celery cut in big pieces, in big square pieces. And I have my bouquet garni that is going to give some aromatics, some flavor into my stock, and of course some tomato paste that is going to give the tomatoey flavor into my sauce. So let's start with the preparation. So we're gonna start with a quick brown chicken stock that I'm gonna make, so my sauce will be nice and flavorful. So what I'm gonna do, I put this pot in a high heat, and I'm gonna actually put some oil into it, not too much because I don't want it to be too greasy. Because if we put too much oil at the end, my chicken also has some skin and some grease and some fat in it, and it will give my sauce greasiness that I don't want to. So the first thing I'm gonna leave the oil to be very hot, because what I want is for my bones to be actually, to get that golden brown color that I want into my sauce very quickly. When your oil is like giving a little nice fuming, then you can start by putting your chicken bones. Make sure that your chicken bones don't stack up on top of each other. Make sure that is one nice layer on the pot, because you want the bones to color all evenly. So you're gonna start by putting your bones in there. Like that. Be very careful not to burn. You don't want a black color. You want a nice golden brown color. And because you also want a nice golden brown that is going to stick onto your pot. You don't want to burn it, because if you burn it, you're gonna give a not very nice flavor into your sauce. You're gonna give a bitter flavor into it. So you're gonna leave it there for about 30-40 seconds to get a nice flavorful color, and then you're gonna turn them all around to brown the bones. So this is the color that we want into our chicken. We're gonna actually color all around the bone, and then we're gonna take them out and we're gonna brown then our mirepoix. The first thing we're gonna add is the onions and the carrots, and then we're gonna add our celery. When you get that nice coloration all around your bones, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the bones by one, I'm going to reserve them, and then, because I have a little bit too much fat in my pot, I'm going to decrease it, and then I'm going to start by browning my mirepoix. After I decrease my pot, meaning I took a little extra fat and I put it aside, I'm going to brown my onions and my carrots. Be very careful, because you have the nice flavorful here from the chicken. You don't want to burn it, you want to brown it. So you have to play with your fire for you not to burn your soup. So you're going to color, you're going to actually saute this for about 6 to 5 minutes until it's nice and golden, nice and brown, and then you're gonna add your celery. With the celery, be careful, it won't brown as the carrots and the onions do because of its high content of water. So you're going to cook your celery until it's nice and translucent. So I'll leave it for about 5-6 minutes extra after you add in this. And then we're gonna add our tomato paste. After your mirepoix is nice and it's getting that nice brown color that we want without burning it, so you have to be very careful and play with your fire. We're gonna add the tomato paste and we're gonna cook it for about 3 to 4 minutes without burning, only just to get out that bitterness of the tomato paste and to actually get that nice and sweet flavor and tomatoey flavor that we're gonna look into our sauce. So, you see our mirepoix is nice, so we're gonna add a nice spoon of tomato paste. Yes, and we're gonna cook it for about 3 to 4 minutes until it's actually getting a nice red bricky, like the color of the brick, and you're gonna smell the tomato paste. It's gonna have a nice and sweet scent into it. So we're gonna cook it, and then we're gonna add back the bones, and we're gonna add some liquid into it, and we're gonna let it cook, let it simmer, not boil. After I cook my tomato paste, I'm gonna add back my bones, and then I'm gonna add my liquid. Here actually, I did already another brown stock, not as coarse as this one, and I'm gonna add it again, so I create a nice and flavorful sauce to it. You're gonna scrap the bottom of it because what we want is those nice juices that are sticking to the bottom of our pot. And then I'm gonna cover it and I'm gonna let it simmer, not boil, for about 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, I'm gonna add my bouquet garni, my aromats in there, and I'm gonna let it simmer again for another 20 more minutes. Why simmer and not boil? Because simmer actually will help the flavors to develop in there. We actually the flavors from the bones, from the vegetables are gonna get nice into my sauce, into my stock, and then it's gonna actually simmer also because it's gonna help us reduce our sauce little by little. While your stock it's simmering, it's a little bit too high right here. While your stock is simmering, we're gonna degrease it, we're gonna clean it, so we don't have a greasy sauce at the end of our product. So make sure that you clean your stock while you're preparing it. While a nice brown chicken stock, it's simmering and reducing, and we're getting all of those nice flavors and juices from the bones and our vegetables, I'm gonna clean and sanitize my area, and then we're gonna start our chicken chasseur preparation. Well, while our stock is nice and simmering over here in our stove, what I'm going to do, I'm gonna make my mise en place for the chicken chasseur. It's gonna be very fast, very quick. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna clean and take the stems out of my mushrooms. These stems we're not going to throw it actually because we're going to do it very fast. We're going to use these stems and we're going to put it in our stock so it will give a little bit more flavor. The first thing when you have a mushroom, what you have to do is you have to pass them through water and scrub them very nicely because sometimes they have some earth in there and you don't want that to put that into your plate. So after you wash them, you pass them through water. What you're going to do, you're going to take your paring knife and you're going to clean them. You're gonna clean all this skin. Well, some people do it, some people don't. I rather do it. And I'm gonna clean everything here. Okay, I'm done here doing it. And then when it's nice and clean, what I'm gonna do, well, in some recipes, people like to slice the mushrooms, but for me, I like to have it in quarters because it gives a little bit more extra texture into it and the mushrooms will look amazing on the plate. After I finish cleaning and cutting all my mushrooms, what I'm gonna do, this mushroom stem, I'm not gonna throw it, no, because they're gonna give amazing flavor into our stock. So we're gonna put them there and we're gonna continue simmering our stock. So we finished with our mushrooms. What we're going to do is we're gonna mince our onions. For mincing your onions, well, you take your onion, you clean it, of course, you take the skin out, and then you cut it into halves. Then you're gonna actually put your knife not all the way through the onion, you're going to leave just a small space over here just to actually to hold your onion, and then you're going to cut it into little stripes just like this. You're going to pass your knife very gentle just to create some little lines into it. So you finish up cutting on your onion vertical side. What you're going to do is you're going to make some cuts on the horizontal side of it. Because if this onion is too high, what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut, you can see on the horizontal side, and you're going to cut all the way through your onions. That's why I leave a little space here. I don't cut through it, because this is going to be my base. It's going to help me hold on all on my lines. So I'm going to make 6 horizontal cuts into this vertical, so I create a nice and fine dice out of my minced onion. You finish cutting the horizontal and the vertical side. What you're going to do is you're going to cut your onion. This is coming very handy right here with your base, but you didn't cut all the way through it. And then you have a nice minced onion that we're going to use into our sauce. I'm going to present all my chicken pieces like this one over here that I previously cut. So what I'm going to do, I want a nice drum, and I'm going to take this chicken leg over here. I'm going to take my finger and feel where the joint of the chicken leg is. So my knife can go through it, and I don't have to force my knife into it, and I don't have to damage nothing. So I find the joint over here. So what you're going to do, you're going to put your knife. So you see, it's very easy, it's not hard at all. You don't have to use a lot of strength, just a little bit of pressure, and you have your nice drumlets over here. You have a nice cut, very clean and very sharp, and you have your 2 pieces of chicken. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna clean the bone here just to give a nice presentation out of it. So what I did actually, I took my knife and I cut here in this area. I make a cut and I go all around, so I can separate actually the skin and the meat out of this bone. Listo, ya? When you finish up cutting all the meat, what we're gonna do, you're gonna pull this part of the skin and meat of the bone up. If you see it's a little bit sticky, what you're gonna do, you're gonna take your knife and you're gonna clean the bone by scratching it. So you're gonna take care of all of those little nerves or little extra meat that is on the bone until you have a nice and clean bone out of it. So continue. And then you will see how this is easily going to start taking out. Yes. Be very careful if you're doing this for the first time, because the knife can slip into your fingers and then you will get cut. You can save those parts of trimmings if you want to make in another stock if you want to, a brown or clear. Don't throw everything. That's it. You have your nice drum ready to serve. So our meats are ready, and what we're gonna do now is we're gonna first pass them through flour. First we're gonna actually seasoning them, of course, some salt and pepper from all the sides, and then I'm gonna pass them through flour. So you finish cleaning up the bones. You see how beautiful this looks over here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to season my chicken, some salt and some pepper all around my chicken pieces. Just make sure you have all around them, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to pass through flour. What I like to do actually, what I learned from some of my chefs, is they also season the flour. So I just slightly season my chicken so I will not oversalt my final result. So what I did, let me take a plate, one moment. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to flour up my pieces one by one, and then I'm going to tap them just to just to get rid of the extra flour that I don't want. And the flour actually is here for one purpose. It's just to help us thicken up our sauce. But don't you worry, it's not going to be enough to thicken up the sauce as we want it. So we're going to have a little extra something to put in it that we're going to see next to it. After my chicken is nice and dusted, flour all around, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a little bit of oil here into my saute pan, and then I'm going to add a little bit of butter also. Of course, it's a French dish, and in French what they say always, everything is better with butter. So after you have this, and also the oil will help the butter not to burn so fast. So when I have this ready, when my fat is nice and hot, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start cooking my chicken skin side first, because I want a nice coloration out of my skin side. Here also, because the skin is going to release a little bit of fat, we're going actually to have to deglaze our pot. Skin side first. When the chicken is nice and golden right here into my sauteur, what I'm going to do, my stock is ready, so I'm going to strain it so I can take the nice liquid that is out of it. So I'm going to strain my nice juice over here. Make sure that you pass everything, because there are some juices that are kept into our vegetables. So what you're gonna do after this, you're gonna take a spoon and you're gonna squeeze all of those nice flavors out of your bones, out of your meat, out of your vegetables, so you won't lose anything. So nice, our chicken is nice and golden. I want that color all the way through my chicken parts. Then, a trick here is, this is a sauteing and braised recipe. Well, the braising part of this recipe was to get tender, was to get the meat of the hunted poultry tender. But because we have chicken here, you can actually finish up the cooking of your chicken pieces in the oven and then put it back at the end of your cooking, so they have the nice flavor of the sauce. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sear my chicken here. I'm going to finish it up in the oven, and then I'm going to finish it up my sauce here, and at the end I'm going to put my meat there, so everything will be nice. My chicken is nice and golden. What I'm going to do now is to put it in the oven, 160 degrees Celsius, for about 20 to 25 minutes. Well, you have to check. It depends on the size of the chicken. If your legs are too big or if your leg is too small, the time will actually change in it. So let's put it in your oven, and while the chicken is in the oven, what are we going to do actually now that we strain our sauce, our nice brown sauce here, we're going to thicken up. To thicken up our sauce, what are we going to use? I make actually here a brown roux. A brown roux, actually, it's a roux that, you know, the roux, it's even parts of butter for even part of flour. And then I cook it a little bit more to get this nice brown color. Be careful, don't burn it too much. When it's a brown roux, you need to have this amazing nutty smell that it has, this amazing consistency, and then you're gonna add it into your sauce just a little bit, and then you're gonna let it simmer, not boil, so you get a nice napping consistency for the end result. So you're gonna first reheat, you're gonna first put your sauce to simmer, and then when it starts simmering, you're gonna add your roux and you're gonna let it gently cook. While my chicken is in the oven cooking and my sauce is thickening on the side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook my onions. I'm going to saute my onions, my mushrooms, and then I'm gonna add some dry white wine. It's better dry, it gives a nice taste, complement very nicely the meat. And then also I'm going to add some cognac, just to get a little bit more body, just to have a little bit of strength. And just at the end of the sauce, when my sauce and my chicken is nice and ready, I'm gonna add some nice fresh parsley, fresh tarragon, just to complement the sauce. So when our butter is nice and melted, we're gonna add the onions, the minced onions that we did previously. I like to have a lot of onions. I think onions give a nice taste into all foods. So just don't get them to color, just get them nice until they're nice and translucent. Just saute them. Be careful with your fire or you will not burn it. You can add a little bit of salt, just a little bit, not too much. And then you're gonna saute it for about 4 to 5 minutes. Start simmering, we're gonna add our roux. You're gonna add just a little bit, then you're gonna simmer it, and what is going to happen is your sauce will thicken up. We don't want a very thick sauce, we just want a napping sauce that is gonna nap nicely and beautiful our chicken at the end for a dish. So now we're gonna let it simmer for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we're gonna see the consistency of our sauce changing. Our onions are nice and golden, nice and translucent. We're gonna add our mushrooms. We're gonna saute our mushrooms, and then we're gonna deglaze with some white. First, we're gonna actually flambe with some cognac, and then we're gonna actually deglaze with some white wine. While my mushrooms and I'm making my saute over here, I'm going to start cooking my potatoes. So, because I'm going to make a mashed potatoes to accompany my chicken with. Some mashed potatoes and some sauté spinach that will go wonderful with the dish. So when my mushrooms and my onions are nicely and sauteed, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to flambe. You can use just a little bit of half of a cup of cognac, not too much, and then you're going to flambe. Nice. And then you're going to let it dry until au sec, meaning until there's no liquid left. After the flambe with cognac, what you're gonna do is you're gonna deglaze with white wine. See, our sauce is thickened up. Actually, this is somehow need a little bit more thickness, but it actually is nice because it's going to nap. How can you actually check that your sauce is nice and napping? You can actually put your finger right here, and you will see a line straight there. It won't move. That's the kind of texture that we are aiming for. So we're going to nap. Your cognac has evaporated. What we're going to do now is we're going to take some white wine. Dry one is better because it's going to go very well with the chicken. And we're going to put the same amount, just like a half of a cup of white wine. And the same process, you're going to let it dry until it's nice and dry, or sec. When the white wine has almost disappeared, almost sec, you can see here, almost gone. The acidity of the wine is gone by evaporation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add my stock, the nice brown tomatoey stock that we did, into it. Beautiful. Nice. After this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some fresh tarragon and some fresh parsley, half of it, just to get the taste out of the fresh herbs. And then I'm going to save the half of the other herbs just to put at the end of it. Doesn't have to be very fine, just a little bit here. Nice. Nice. And then I'm gonna let it simmer just a few moments, just 20 minutes here. Just for the sauce to thicken up a little bit more. Then I'm going to add my chicken, and we're almost done. After I put my parsley and everything, what I'm going to do, I'm going to let it reduce a little bit, but first I'm going to taste it. Normally, you have to have disposable tasting spoons because it's not very sanitary just to have one spoon. After this one I'm going to put it back into the dishwash, and then I'm going to use another one just to taste again. Just a little bit more salt and pepper, and that's it. So while my chicken is almost ready, you know, if you have a thermometer, you know the chicken has to be cooked by the USPH law at 165 in the center. Then here it just takes a little bit more time to cook it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put it back in the sauce just to get that nice flavor, those nice aromas into its taste. Oh my god, the sauce is very nice. It's snapping my chicken. I love it. And then, as you can see here, the chicken has thrown some juice. So you can see the chicken has thrown some juices in the oven. Don't throw them. Just put them back into your sauce because it's gonna add a little extra flavor into it. So here, we're gonna braise our chicken a little bit with all the condiments and everything here. Yeah, nice. Then we're gonna add the chicken juice that they throw in the oven. I'm gonna cover it and I'm gonna let it cook for about 10 to 15 more minutes. Well, my chicken is nicely cooked. So what I'm going to do now, I took it out of the sauce, and then I'm going to finish it up my sauce by adding some nice cold butter, or we're calling monter la sauce, just to give it some nice brilliance and to enhance the flavor to it. Of course, butter. We're cooking a French traditional dish. Like I told you at the beginning of the video, for the French, the butter, the better. While my chicken is resting, what I'm doing, I'm finishing up my mashed potato that will go with the chicken. For my mashed potato, it's just a simple recipe. I wash and peel my potatoes. I cut it into cubes. Try to cut them exactly into the same size because the potato will cook evenly. Then what I did, I passed it to this strainer so my puree will be nice and thin. So I will not have no lumps. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to emulate one of the greatest French chef, Joël Robuchon, that he uses the same amount of potatoes and the same amount of butter. So we keep into the tradition here. And then what I'm going to do after my potatoes are ready, I'm going to saute some spinach, and then I'm going to dress up my plate. When you're making this puree recipe, you have to be very careful because the amount of fat that is going into the potatoes can split in a second. So what you're actually doing it with that to have the same amount of butter, the same amount of potato, is to give a nice airy texture. As you can see, it looks like cream over here. They're nice and mixed, they're nice and fluffy, that you're gonna actually have a nice texture into your dish. So my mashed potato is ready, my chicken is ready. Now the only thing and the last thing I'm going to do now is to go with the chicken and the potato. I decided to make some sauté spinach with a little bit of onion and some chopped garlic. That will go wonderful with the chicken and the mashed potato. So I have my my spinach leaves already washed here. And then I'm going to chop some garlic. You can chop them actually roughly if you want to. I like to have the taste of garlic. I like to bite into it. Some people don't like to bite into the garlic. And then I'm going to saute first my onions the leftover onions that I actually minced for my chicken. I told you, you don't throw anything in the kitchen. Everything is transformed, everything is usable. And then, okay, I finish it up chopped roughly. Here my garlic. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a piece of butter, put it in my pan, let it melt. Let me put my onions. Yes. My garlic. I like a lot of garlic in my food. I think it's amazing. And then we're gonna let it saute for about 2-3 minutes until my onions are nice and translucent. Then I'm gonna add my spinach leaves. I'm gonna add some salt and pepper, and then we're gonna go straight to plating. Because my dish for me needs a little extra something, like a crunchiness to it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to make some parsley chips. So I'm going to take, and because my parsley is so nice, they have these huge leaves, parsley leaves. I'm going to fry them, and then gonna add a little bit. I'm going to put some salt in it. They're gonna add a little bit of extra texture into my dish. So to make some parsley chips, well, there's plenty things, plenty ways to do it. Or you just heat up your oil until you see that the bottom of the oil you have just a little bit of bubbles going there, not too hard, because if you actually heat up the oil too hot, what it's going to do is going to actually burn down all the chlorophyll and it's going to get soggy. The other way to do it that I learned it also is you take a plate, you put some plastic wrap, you put some cooking oil spray, you put the leaves and you plastic wrap them again, you put them in the microwave 30 to 45 seconds. And then the other one in the same, or in a deep fryer, if you have a deep fryer, you take your two spiders, you put your leaves there and you cook them very fast. And then we cook evenly. Chips are nice and ready. Look what happened if your oil is too hot. So the leaf is the chlorophyll of the leaf is going to die. Look what happened when you actually cook it at a nice temperature oil. It's nice and crispy and you still can keep the color out of it. So that's what I wanted about my parsley leaf, and it's going to add a nice crispiness into it. So the only thing I'm missing is to plate. To plate it, actually I'm going to do a nice puree quenelle with our nice puree. Nice and buttery puree, mashed potato. And then make sure that your puree doesn't have a very light consistency so you can hold the shape. Then I'm going to put my chicken right over here, just on top of the puree, just to give a little bit of height to it. Then I'm going to add my spinach tombé, or my sauteed spinach, just right here into the corner of it, so you can see it next to it. Then, when I'm finishing with this, I'm going to put my sauce. My nice sauce. I took this really nice napping sauce here, just on top of our chicken. And then just to finish it up, and just to add that crunchiness, we're gonna display 5 parsley leaf that's going to add the crunchiness into our dish. And if you want to, just to finish it up, just take your sauce and just go around with your spoon. If you see that you have a little bit of thing here, just take a nice wet cloth or some nice wet paper with hot water. It's good. And there you go. You have your nice chicken chasseur. Well, thank you very much for joining me, and I hope you guys enjoy as much as I did cooking this chicken chasseur for you guys. So one of the, to wrap it up with this video, one of the tasks was my understanding about the P&O brand. When I talk about P&O, what I think immediately after my research is, well, you know, P&O was the first commercial cruise line in the world, starting in 1837. So it's been 178 years ago that they started in this business. Going through internet, going into Twitter, going into YouTube especially, I've seen and a little bit more about the P&O brand. What I realized was the P&O brand, the people that work in P&O are taking much pride in their job. Why? Because when you take pride in your job, you do things well. When I'm thinking about P&O, for me, it's just a little piece of England, a little piece of the UK traveling around the world. Why? Because as the motto of the company says, they're tailored to the British taste. So what? After viewing some of the review from the guests that have been traveling with P&O, they say that they don't have to miss much home because they have everything that represent England in piano with a little bit, with a twist of modern, with a modern twist in it. So what I think about piano is tradition. It's tradition. Is Britain. It's pride, and it's the savoir-faire of the British in just one company. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope this video will take me to the next step. Thank you very much.